All right, hey Vikings fans, welcome into another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer and talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And what a change from last week to this week. I can't believe it.
Yeah, so much more positive. We were doom and gloom last week. Things are looking up, kind of. And no purple punishments.
Yeah. We did spend some time this week talking about the specifics of that 31-0 blowout over the Commanders, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and we looked ahead to the remaining 4 games, and we even zeroed in on the Sunday night game coming up against the Cowboys. I'm excited. I think the Vikings have a lot of opportunities ahead of them, not just in the games on their schedule, but what lies ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're interested, we did kind of derail a little bit about the idea of college football and bowl games and whether or not teams should be in there. But all that to be heard ahead here in episode 117. Grab a cold one and join us. Skol.
Skol.
We just want to say thank you to show sponsor That's Badass Wood Art for sponsoring today's episode. If you are interested in scoring a really cool, might I say badass, piece of wood art, much like the one Evan is holding up here. If you're watching on YouTube, check it out. We have their Skol piece. Just says Skol. It's really simple, but it's awesome. It is super cool. Cut out not by hand. He's got a saw of some sort that he cuts these pieces out. But if you're interested, you can go to that'sbadasswoodart.com. Check out all the pieces that they have up there, whether they're sports related or pop culture related, or even if you want to commission a custom piece. You can go there, choose a piece or 2 or 5, and you can use our promo code SKOLHOP, SKOLHOP, all one word, and that will give you 10% off any and all orders from that'sbadasswoodart.com. I really like our piece here, and we keep saying it, but we'll say it until it comes true, which will be something that happens soon. We'll have a much bigger, more personalized Skol Hop piece from That's Badass Wood Art here in the near future, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But until then, thank you for your support, That's Badass Wood Art.
Yeah, Skol. Some good news.
Good news?
We don't have to spin the wheel of purple punishments.
Yes.
So that's good news.
There's some entertainment value in that. So,
there is.
I mean, we'll see if that comes up here in future episodes. If you're missing it, we've got plenty of episodes with us doing punishments.
Yeah, go back and watch, because we've had some bad ones this year.
I think I still have a little bit of a mark from when you shot me with that BB gun. So check it out there. But we don't have to spin today.
No spinning.
Because in the preseason,
we picked the Vikings to win this game against the Commanders, and they did.
Oh, heck yes, they did. That was an exclamation point victory. A really comeback as far as the season's concerned. Not that the season's, turning into something great. I don't think the playoffs are happening, but a really good get-back game. And we'll have plenty of time this episode to talk about it. But either way, it earned us a free week from the purple punishments. We'll talk about maybe next week if we have to spin. But until then,
let's get into some beer.
I'm so excited.
So I picked up the beer tonight, and I went to our Hy-Vee. I was looking for this Christmas beer I really wanted to try, and I couldn't find it, but I found this instead.
What'd you get, Ev?
We got Exile's World Class Lager Pack. So There's 4 different beers, and I think we'll probably maybe try all of them between the two of us for sure.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see. We'll do a good portion at least.
Yep. So the Ruthie, which next to that it says Iowa's #1 craft lager. I think if you live in Iowa and you like beer, you've probably had a Ruthie before.
Yep. We've had it on the show.
Yep. Gigi is a Dunkel. And we're going to start with the Port of Shadows Imperial Lager. It's a 7%.
I'm excited.
Porter style lager. And then last but not least is a lager pack exclusive, so a beer that you can only get in this pack. What is that one called? The Clockwork Pils, which is a Czech Pilsner. So we've got quite a few good beers to try tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah, and this is really only like the 4th time that we've had Exile beers on the show.
Really?
If you don't count the Brew Hop.
Okay.
I think we had them in Brew Hop 1.0, but not 2.0. I don't think we made it that way.
We didn't go over there.
But I think most recently was episode 96 when we did have the Ruthie. Other than that, we've had... Oh, I just had it all up here. We've had the Nomi's Travels and the Shark Wrangler. And I think all the way back in episode 6, we had their Oktoberfest. So
Sweet.
We're going to double the amount of Exile beers we've had on the show just tonight, hopefully.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm super excited about this one. I figured we can both start off, I think you just said this, both start off with the Port of Shadows, and then we can kind of switch it up between the two of us.
We'll branch off, and you'll try something different here in a little bit. But let's try this Port of Shadows. I can already tell it looks dark. And it's a 7%er.
Yep. This one, it's on the higher end of beers that, as far as ABV, that we're going to have on the show really ever, just because we do this on a weeknight. We both have day jobs. We don't want to be waking up with headaches if we can help it. But
Ooh, that smells great.
So the can art's pretty cool. It's kind of, I don't know, retro
like a pirate ship
vibe. Maybe, pirate ship, kind of seafaring vibe a little bit.
Nautical.
Nautical. That's the word I was looking for. It says it's a Baltic porter. Just kind of a classic can art. Doesn't really say anything else about the beer. But this one was not the pack exclusive, right?
No,
Okay.
That's the pills.
Okay.
The Czech pills.
But either way, really good dark color, really good head retention. Evan, I'm just more and more impressed by your pours.
I'm getting better.
Yeah, some people would say it's a hard pour. We call it an Austin pour. I call it just a darn good pour. You need to really let the beer breathe. So it's not a straight up and down pour, but you're doing
That's
a lot
pretty much
better.
how I did it.
But yeah, I'm excited. You just want to dive right in?
Let's do it.
Skol.
Skol. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a porter's porter. That's really full flavored. Mm-hmm. It's not too boozy. Some of these porters, like these darker beers that have higher contents, especially like bourbon barrel aged ones, they can have that like super boozy flavor.
This one doesn't have that. Honestly, I like the maltiness of it. Mm-hmm. Like there's just a good kind of that earthy malty vibe. It's a little chocolatey almost. It's good and like roasted.
Yeah.
Like a roasty toasty vibe.
I keep thinking that there's going to be like a vanilla flavor that's going to hit me on the back end, because usually these porters are vanilla porters, and you get that really sweet vanilla-y flavor, almost like aftertaste, which is fine sometimes, but it's not my biggest, favorite kind of beer, even though in a yesteryear my favorite beer was the Line and Cool's vanilla porter. But
that is a good beer.
All that to say, I'm glad that I'm not getting that vanilla back end flavor. It's just every good thing about a porter without the added too sweetness to it. So I like this one a lot. I'm really glad that we tried it, and I'm really excited to try the rest of the Exile beers tonight. So good job. It's nice to try. Usually we have the same one throughout the whole episode. It's nice to branch out a little bit.
It'd be fun to mix it up a little bit tonight. And the Vikings flipped the script as well. First team since 1992 to get shut out one week and then come back and shut out their opponent in a win the next week.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. We were babies the last time that happened ever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that the Vikings have ever done it.
No, it would have to have been before 1992. It's just that's the only stat that I heard on TV and, in social media afterwards. And kind of crazy. It's not like they got shut out 3-0 against the Seahawks. It was a pretty decent beatdown.
Yeah. That just reminds me of the Raiders game.
Oh, yeah.
That we watched literally right here.
Yep. I wonder what the game before that was a couple of years ago when they shut the Raiders out. Obviously, it wasn't a shutout. We would have heard about it. They got beat down pretty good a week ago against the Seahawks. And then this week, they gave their own beatdown to the Commanders, and it was really refreshing to see.
Well, and it's funny how, we as fans, we've changed our tune a little bit, like we are not as all doom and gloom like we were last week. Like you were ready to fire Kwesi.
I still am, by the way.
Okay, fair.
One win does not change the problems that have popped up.
I haven't seen the commentary on Twitter or Facebook nearly as eruptive as it was a week ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because it's not off. Yeah, we're not in the land of deep darkness right now. Obviously, I think I mentioned it earlier, the season, while there is a route to it, I don't think the playoffs are going to happen. Things still don't look great. J.J. McCarthy just had his best game as a pro, and it was still 163 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. It was his first professional game without throwing an interception. And he's had more notable games where he's thrown 2 interceptions than only 1. So I think he looked really good. You can say it's because of a lot of things. Most notably, it seems like and this was their narrative heading into the game. Seems like Kevin O'Connell just kind of said, JJ, just go out there and play. We'll worry about the footwork. We'll really worry about the technique in the offseason. For right now, just make the right decisions. And if you do that, then who cares if it's a duck? If it gets to the receiver, then that's all you need. Completions are completions. So, yeah, it seemed to work really well.
Well, let's talk roses, thorns, and game balls. And then we can unpack whatever else comes to mind.
All right. Well, I'll start with my rose. My roses and thorns this year have been more like just feelings, more about overall of the team rather than just the one single game. But in this game, it's kind of true about the feeling of the overall season, and in this game specifically. My rose is that there's signs of life. The defense played impeccably. I mean, we still saw a couple egregious missed tackles, but not every third play was a huge missed tackle that really changed the game. We saw some turnovers. There was a forced fumble that was it Javon Hargrave that got that forced fumble. That kind of reminded me of a fumble that Isaiah Rodgers had earlier in the season, where he kind of like punched it out and went down with the ball and picked it up. Hargrave, I don't think, gained any yards after that, but he still caused the fumble and
came up with
picked it up. 2 interceptions. We finally got a gink. Almost pick 6, but with that screen pass to Andrew Van Ginkel's side, we finally got that where he picked it off. It was the classic tip drill,
Yep. He's so good at those.
Yeah, and then Harry the Hitman. He got his 38th pick. I think they said on TV that he has the most interceptions among all active players, which I think was still true before that 38th pick, but it only helps. That dude's heading for the Hall of Fame. If he doesn't get one, if he doesn't get in first ballot, then there's something wrong with that process. But yeah, signs of life, and it feels good, and nothing seemed cheap. It's not like, oh, well, yeah, the Commanders kept committing penalties. I know Jaden Daniels went out, but it felt like an earned victory, and a really good victory.
Yeah, my rose is pretty simple. It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but there weren't any J.J. McCarthy memes that came out from this game. So that's been like one of the hardest parts, I think, about this season is just watching other people make fun of our team.
Yeah.
And, to some extent, we've made fun of our own team. Like,
absolutely. And it's been well-earned as well.
They've played pretty badly in some of these games. But, no, it was a good thing that there really wasn't anything bad to come out of this game. So I appreciated
that's the thing. No loss, no weird vibes where it's like, well, they won, but this sucks about this. There's no injuries. I think in Kevin O'Connell's press conference today, he usually starts off the Monday conference saying like, all right, injury-wise, so-and-so's banged up, so-and-so's banged up. A couple weeks ago, that's when he dropped the news that J.J. McCarthy was reporting concussion symptoms, which, true or not, say what you want. He opened his press conference today just kind of talking about the game, and then finished that opening sentence like, oh yeah, and no injuries to talk about. We came away pretty healthy. So that's always good.
Yeah. Thorns, I'll start us off with thorns. It's kind of hard to come up with anything bad when your team wins 31-0, and that is not an overstatement. I think any team that wins 31-0 in this league is doing something right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think one of the things that other people would point to, non-Vikings fans would point to as well, the Commanders aren't very good.
Exactly.
And That makes sense. I get it. But you said it earlier. I'll agree, and I'll piggyback off of that every day of the week that, it's just a good get-right game. After getting blown out to your former quarterback on his turf 2 weeks ago, it was good to just get back in the win column and get a really, really good win, albeit against a bad team.
Yeah, and the Commanders have had their ups and downs this year. They finished last year losing in the NFC Championship game. Nothing to complain about. They had the Rookie of the Year in Jaden Daniels. And, of course, that's been the big thing for that team this year is Jaden Daniels has had 2 long injury stints. First with, was it like a hamstring or knee or something?
Something like
earlier
that.
in the season. And then most recently, a handful of weeks ago, he missed quite a few games with that elbow injury, which ultimately kind of took him out of this game against the Vikings. Dan Quinn, the head coach in Washington, did say that Jaden Daniels eventually was cleared to come back and could have come back in this game. So I wouldn't be too concerned about him for the long haul if you're a Commanders fan that's somehow listening to us here. But that by that point that he was cleared to go, it was just, the game was already what it was. And Dan Quinn said, it was my decision. Just didn't think it would have been valuable for him to come back. But, Commanders not great this year. But, I say it all the time. You can only, play against the team that's on your schedule. So, I'm not saying, yes, the Vikings are the best team in the world now because they shut a team out 31-0. I totally know. Yeah, it's just the Commanders. But, they only had the Commanders on the schedule this week, so that's they did as best as they could do. My thorn is, again, more of an overall thought for the team and, especially during this Commanders game, is that Justin Jefferson, he's getting fewer and fewer opportunities each week. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Most notably, it's not injury this year. He's healthy. He's out there. It's the level of quarterback play. He hasn't really seen consistent numbers since Carson Wentz, stopped playing, which you can argue Carson Wentz the best passer on the team this year. But also the defenses. Like, you're going to double and triple cover Justin Jefferson because he's the best wide receiver in the league, and I'll argue with anybody who argues that, argues against that. But either way, whatever the reason is, valid or not, the outcome is the last handful of weeks, Jefferson has been getting 1, 2, 3 catches a game and not many yards. And at this point, with 4 games left, he's almost 200, less than 200 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. But if he has the same statistics in the next 4 games as he had in the last few, he's not going to hit that 1,000-yard mark, which, again, only means so much, but it's still an important thing, and I'm sure it's something he's thinking about too. With that, he didn't talk to the media after the game last week, and he started hearing the rumblings of, they're wasting Justin Jefferson's prime. I think I saw an article on front of the show, Dustin Baker's site, Vikings Territory, that Randy Moss apparently had a quote, in the last couple of days, like, somebody asked Randy Moss, should Justin Jefferson look to get out? Or should he stay? And Randy Moss basically was like, I wouldn't stay. I would not stay. And that's concerning to hear from another highly touted Vikings receiver in Vikings history. So hopefully this all just comes out in the wash. Ultimately, Justin Jefferson has only been a consummate pro. On the sidelines, he's getting super excited whenever anybody does something good, whether or not the ball's going to him. I think he's only ever been a true professional and a true leader and a captain on the team, but it would be nice to see him get another good game. Let's get him to 1,000 yards at least. That would be something to root for this season.
Yeah, and it's been tough to watch him not contribute as much as we're used to watching him contribute. I mean, the whole life of this podcast, we've watched Justin Jefferson just light up other teams. We watched him make that, like, once-in-a-lifetime catch against the Bills a couple years ago, and plenty of just I think of the, like, was it a 98-yard catch he made against the Niners last year, and made, like, the defenders run into each other as he just waltzed into the end zone. Yeah, tough to watch a guy like that be frustrated, not be a part of the offense. But the silver lining with all of that is that he's been the consummate professional. He's held his tongue. He hasn't really lashed out. He's expressed his frustration, and he's not the only one to have done that, but he's done it professionally. He's done it really well, I think.
Yeah.
So
he's got 810 yards right now with 4 games left. And to compare it, in 2023, when he missed, I think, 7 games, he finished with 1,074 yards and 5 touchdowns. Right now, he's got 810 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Granted, that season was quarterbacked firstly by Kirk Cousins, and then there was a whole carousel after that. Last season, he got 1,533 yards and 10 touchdowns with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. He's on pace for his least productive season on the receiving book. But again, he's getting a lot of attention. He makes a bigger impact in games than just on the stat sheet. So, like I said, hopefully he gets to that 1,000 yards. It would be very nice, and I think at least keep him happy, especially if JJ starts, performing well like he did against the Commanders.
Who are you going to give a game ball to from this Commanders game?
Last week when I didn't give anybody a game ball. I think it was like nobody deserved one. I think I did eventually cave and give Ryan Wright a game ball or something like that. Yeah. But this week there were actually quite a few players. I'm gonna go with Harry the Hitman. And this is more of a legacy game ball. He got an interception. There was 2 or 3 straight plays where he just blitzed right off the edge. Mm-hmm. I tweeted from the Skol Hop account, Harry the Blitz Man. So I think, there are probably other players that statistically are more deserving. Van Ginkel probably could have earned it more. JJ McCarthy just coming off the adversity and performing, I would say, well. But for me in this game, Harrison Smith, just because also I don't know how many more games I'll get the opportunity to give him a game ball.
I mean, he may only have 4 more. That might be it.
You don't say that, Ev.
Well, got to be realistic here.
If that's the case, at least we can be glad that in a disappointing season when he could have quit and demanded his release and went to a contender, or at least a team that could have a better playoff hope than the Vikings do right now, we can take pride in knowing that Harrison Smith is a true Viking, a true hometown hero, and hasn't quit on the team. And that's enough to get a game ball right there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to give mine to a guy that we haven't talked about at all yet. Okay. I don't think we've uttered his name in this episode yet.
Oh, I know we haven't.
But I think he's deserving because of the 31 points. This man was responsible for 12 of those points.
Yeah.
So you got to give a game ball to Josh Oliver.
Absolutely.
I said this because we watched the game together. We were at your house. And I said, and I still stand by my word, that he might be the tight end 1 next year. I could see a scenario. I'm not going to say with any level of certainty, but I could see a scenario where TJ Hawkinson walks. It would be a good money move for the Vikings to get TJ off of the books because they owe him a lot of money. And he might come with a somewhat of a hefty dead cap hit, but I think long term it might be beneficial to get TJ Hawkinson off of the roster. As much as I like the guy, he just hasn't been very productive. And TJ Hawkinson caught a touchdown too in this game.
Yeah.
So
TJ Hawkinson in the last couple of weeks has, been
he's
more
kind
productive.
of emerged as JJ's favorite target, really. And he caught a few balls from Max Brosmer too.
Yeah, he's a good solid, dump off target, or at least that's what he's been the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, Josh Oliver, I think 2 touchdowns. Those were the only 2 passes he caught. I mean, that's nearly half the offense right there.
I mean, yeah, hard to argue with a guy that catches 2 touchdowns in a game to get the game ball. I will say Josh Oliver looks like his contract currently goes through 2028. I think this offseason they re-upped him for a few more years. So through 2028. I didn't realize he's only at this moment 28 years old. TJ Hawkinson is also, he's a hair younger, 28 years old and a couple months younger than Josh Oliver. But Hawk's contract, as of right now, goes through 2027. But let's see. There's only, it wouldn't be too much of a cap hit to release him after this season. So I'm not advocating for it. I like TJ Hawkinson. I'm an Iowa Hawkeye fan. I'm a TJ Hawkinson fan. I admit he's not been the same since that
Kirby Joseph injury.
That super dirty Kirby Joseph injury, hit to cause an injury. But I still like him as a Viking. He does make a lot of money for a guy that hasn't done too much this year.
We should take a moment and talk about the gruesome hit that Zach Ertz took.
Yep, and a lot of people are saying it's dirty. Kevin O'Connell in his Monday press conference talked about it a little bit today. He said he's got a lot of respect for Zach Ertz. I don't know how you couldn't. He seems like a good dude and definitely a really good career so far, which unfortunately could be done. I think they announced it's probably an ACL tear. Mm-hmm. Again, the silver lining, something I mentioned in the TikTok video that I posted, was that as far as Ertz goes and his injury, his foot wasn't planted in the ground. Yes, it still tore. It was still awful, and you don't like to see that. But it would have been 10 times worse had his foot been planted in the ground with the same hit. I don't know Jay Ward. I obviously never met him. I've never heard really anything about him personally. And he's not gotten a ton of opportunity to play on the field. He's always, I think he was like a 5th-round pick, maybe later, a couple of years ago. He's always been on special teams a little bit. I think he's listed as a safety, but he's gotten more run as a quarterback or cornerback, with Isaiah Rodgers kind of being up and down. But yeah, the hit, in slow-mo, it looks really dirty. You don't like to see that. But yeah,
it was a bang play, and I don't know that I blame Jay Ward for everything. And there's another Viking involved too, I think, because Jay Ward kind of went above, and then there was another one that was kind of under Zach Ertz. I forget who it was. But it was kind of that classic, like, high-low, Zach Ertz is literally horizontal for a split second in the air before he comes down. So, yeah. I don't know. It wasn't fun to watch. You feel bad for a guy like Zach Ertz, who has had a fantastic career in this league. If that's the end for him, you feel bad. Mm-hmm. That stinks.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up the video. It's not working. I don't know what's going on.
You shopping for knee braces?
I guess that's what TikTok apparently wanted me to see. So, the rough hit. Hopefully, it's not dirty. I don't think we have enough evidence in Jay Ward's career to really announce him as a dirty player. It was just
Cashman that went over the top of him,
which is crazy because Ertz, he jumped pretty high. Anyways, that's just a tough hit all around. Like you said, thoughts and prayers for Zach Ertz. You hate to see it. Hopefully, he's able to come back in the future.
And I would say too, I think if that were a Viking player, we would have been pissed. We would have been mad, and I'm sure there are a bunch of Commanders fans out there, and maybe even just Zach Ertz fans out there who are mad about that. That you said it. That play isn't as bad or as egregious as some of the other hits that we've seen players take that give them season-ending, sometimes career-ending injuries. But no, that was definitely a crazy moment though. And one that hopefully doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But we know it will because it's the NFL.
Yep. So. All right. Anything else about this Vikings Commanders game that really stood out to you? I really do have to give it. It does seem like KOC put some effort into simplifying the game plan. The rushing game really worked out pretty well. Mm-hmm. I think collectively, what are the stats here?
162 yards on the ground.
Yep.
And a touchdown.
And 163 yards passing.
So very balanced.
And 3 touchdowns. Will the Thrill, he was perfect on the day. He had a really close 45-yard field goal, which kind of snuck in there right on the edge, but it was good. And then he was yet again perfect on extra points. He's yet to miss an extra point in his career. Ryan Wright only had to punt one time, and it was a 43-yard punt. Pretty good. Miles Price only returned one kick return, and it was 35 yards. Not bad. Yeah, other than that, I mean, nothing crazy stands out. It's just a game where it seems like everybody did their job, and a couple of times the Vikings had to get lucky or not. They ended up getting lucky, and it was really nice. I did hear towards the end of the game, it seemed like the Vikings were kind of pulling some of their starters. Both teams were. But it sounds like Justin Jefferson was trying to like hide from Kevin O'Connell, because he didn't want to come out of the game. He wanted to keep playing, probably statistically, but, you know, he wanted to still be out there. And I think Kevin O'Connell said, like, yeah, we had to get some assistant coaches involved and, like, a security guy involved in trying to find Justin Jefferson. So I think that all just goes back to Justin Jefferson respects that C on his jersey, and he wants to be out there, and he wants to play for the Vikings. And you like to hear that, especially with what I said my thorn was earlier.
One other guy that I want to point out, and I guess this thought did not register in my mind until I read a tweet earlier today, but Blake Cashman has just been killing it this year. Leads the team in tackles by a long shot, and he missed how many games did he miss at the beginning of the season?
I think it was only like 2 or 3, but that's still a significant amount of games. I mean,
so what a guy, and he's one that I hope the Vikings keep, especially if Flores is coming back. It seems like Flores has his quarterback. On the field.
Oh yeah, we've said it 1,000 times.
Yep.
We notice when he's not on the field.
So yeah, if Flores doesn't leave for some head coaching position and he's the defensive coordinator next year, you hope Cashman stays so that continuity is there.
Absolutely. Cashman is signed through 2026. So As of right now, his deal runs, at least one more year. I wouldn't be surprised, especially if for some reason Flores stays, which I could kind of see Flores kind of staying, and he'll eventually get a head coaching opportunity, but he's kind of got that equity now, and the time sounds like the compensation is there for him in Minnesota, that he can be really picky, and he can just be like, well, I could be the head coach of the Titans. That's just one of them that I know is open right now. But maybe that's not good. Maybe I'm comfortable here. I know he's got kids. I don't know their age, if they're young kids or if they're high schoolers, but again, I'm taking way too long to get to my point here. Blake Cashman, he could be one that, if we go through next season, if Flores stays next year, and then if he's still here, Flores may just be like, hey, you need to sign Cashman basically for as long as I'm here in Minnesota, and that'd be a good relationship. We've definitely seen that work out so far. All right. It looks like you're heading on to the next beer.
I'm moving on. We also have more glasses, so if you want a fresh glass.
Oh,
my
man.
bad.
Nope. I have eyes. I should have seen that you put that glass down right in front of me.
So I'm going to crack open a GG. This is the Dunkel, and it's 5%. A Dunkel Dark Lager.
Should I do the same one, or should we kind of do different ones for this?
I think we should mix it up. I think you should try something different. Just for fun.
Sweet. So you said you got the Dunkel.
Yep. I'm
going to go with the Czech Pilsner. It's the Clockwork Pils. 4.8%. So we're both going from a 7% porter to a lighter in flavor and content beer. And I'm really excited. The one you're pouring looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely lighter. It's brown. A little bit of see-throughness. It looks great in this football mug, that's for sure. We'll give it a shot here.
Mine's a Pilsner. It's much lighter than even yours, and they're both way lighter than that
very
porter.
light.
So the color reminds me of a solid, just Bud Light.
Bud Light, yep.
And it probably is going to taste like a much higher quality Bud Light, something we say all the time when we have a craft Pilsner. But I don't think I've had this one. Have you had that one before?
I have not. Nope.
Well,
I think the only one in this pack I've had is the Ruthie.
Which that is one that we've said is like a high quality, light beer.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm excited to try these.
All right. Beer number 2. Skol. Yeah. That's a solid beer.
Oh yeah. Mine is, what I said I thought it would be. Really nice, light, refreshing, just a much higher quality Bud Light or Coors Light. It's in that category, and I'm not mad about this one. This is, a 10 out of 10 lawnmower beer. And by that, I mean you could have 10 of these beers after mowing the lawn. Yeah, really good. 4.8%. Yeah, you could have these all night.
Got to get you a lawnmower with a cup holder. Then you can have one while you mow the lawn.
I would need a lawnmower with a chair first. I guess you could put a cup holder on a riding or a push mower, but that could you need like a lid or something. I don't know. I don't have the levelest of yards, so I'd be bouncing around.
Me either.
I've
got big hills on either
side.
Yeah. Mine's pretty good too. The Dunkel. It's still dark, and it's still kind of got that like malty flavor to it, but overall, solid beer. I like it.
Yeah. Exile, you're doing a really good job. I feel like it can be tricky to try to review a multi-pack of beers, but I think we're doing it right. So I think the next beers we're going to have after these ones, we're just going to flip, and I'm going to have the Dunkel, and you're going to have the Pils.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm excited. I like these ones a lot.
And the Pilsner is what we said was the multi-pack exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
So you can only get this one. It's Clockwork Pils, Czech Pilsner, in this Exile pack.
Nice.
So
yeah. Well, it's good.
Unless you go to Exile and order
yeah.
it on tap. I'm sure they have it there. But
yeah.
Let's talk about the Vikings' road to the playoffs, because it's still possible.
Technically, I think yes.
They're not going to be eliminated until at least next week. But how about this? I'll walk through everything that needs to happen, and then you tell me how likely you think this is.
Okay.
So, step 1, and this is according to who made this graphic.
We have a really nice looking graphic that you found from Bring Me the Sports.
Bring Me the Sports. That's what it is.
Now, it is according to them, but it's also just fact as well.
I confirmed it. I when I found this graphic earlier today, I went to the NFL playoff machine and I punched in every scenario that they said needs to go the Vikings' way. And sure enough, they were right. It put the Vikings as the 7th seed in the playoffs at 9-8. So, first of all, the Vikings have to win the rest of their games.
Done. It's like when they had the greatest comeback in NFL history when Pat Pete was like, "Hey guys, we just need 5 touchdowns. That's all we need." So 4 games, win the next 4.
Got to beat the Cowboys,
the Cowboys on Sunday night. And then they go to New York to play the Giants. Technically New Jersey.
The other one. Yep.
And then on Christmas Day, they host the Lions. They'll be wearing their Winter Warrior jerseys, which I like a lot. I like those a lot.
And then they play the Packers at home
to finish the season. I think December 4th is when that one is, or January 4th.
So that's step 1. Unfortunately, the Vikings do not control their own destiny.
Nope.
They need a lot of help. In fact, in week 15, actually in every week from now till the end of the season, the Vikings need certain things to happen. In week 15, the Vikings need the Browns to beat the Bears.
Okay.
And they need the Rams to beat the Lions. That makes sense. Both divisional foes. Honestly,
they could happen. I'm not saying those are slam dunks, either one of them, but
the Browns are like that. Like the Browns are that feisty. Like we're not making the playoffs. We've been through like 3 or 4 quarterbacks this year. Stefanski's probably going to get fired,
which is crazy. And if he does, you know what? bring him back. I don't care what role he's in. If he
That'd be
takes
awesome.
Wes Phillips' role or whatever, or if he comes back again as a QB coach, I want Stefanski back. I've got a really close coworker that has been following the Browns all year because he's a Shador fan, and he sends me TikToks and memes all the time about how just Shador's coach hates him. And I mean, it's hard to argue, but Stefanski's a good coach, and he's just getting a raw deal in Cleveland. I think the people, his bosses, are telling him to do things that he doesn't really want to do, but when it's your boss, you can't argue too much. But either way, I think Browns beating the Bears and the Rams beating the Lions, the Rams might be favored over the Lions. I wouldn't think the Browns would be favored over the Bears, but either way, it could happen. Both those things could happen.
Yeah, so that's week 15. Then in week 16, we actually have to be Packers fans for a week. We need the Packers to beat the Bears.
We just need the Bears to lose. I'll never be a Packer. I'll never root for the Packers. But in the rare cases where we need the team that the Packers are playing to lose, then that's as far as I'll go. I'm just rooting against the Bears that week.
And we need to root against the Lions. They play the Steelers in week 16. So
too easy. Maybe Adam Thielen, the wide receiver, can help the Vikings by making his second catch of the year.
Wouldn't
and
that
beating the
be
Lions.
like such a poetic justice type of thing?
Something he does puts his old team twice removed into the playoffs. That'd be funny.
Week 17, it gets even more interesting because these first 2 weeks really only the Bears and Lions need to be beat. Like just those two divisional foes need them to be beat, whatever. Week 17, if all of those scenarios happen through the next 2 weeks, then all eyes will be on week 17. The Commanders need to beat the Cowboys. The Seahawks need to beat the Panthers, and the 49ers need to beat the Bears.
Again,
that's a lot of stuff that needs to go.
All things
and the Vikings need to beat the Lions.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. That's a lot. The other couple of weeks, okay, maybe I could see it, but when you get to week 17, and you're like, if it's gonna fall apart, it's gonna fall apart there.
Yeah.
If it hasn't already fallen apart.
Yeah. I think it will have fallen apart realistically before then. And then finally in week 18, yes, again, the Vikings need to win. They need to beat the Packers, but the Lions also need to beat the Bears. So, and if you notice in this graphic, at the very bottom, there's a little asterisk. And what does that say? Plus some Bucks and Panthers help.
Yep.
Is that just in general, or is there a spot on this graphic that has a specific asterisk? I think that's just in general.
I don't know, but I think the only reason that's on there is because the Bucks and Panthers are in the NFC South, and I think, are they leading the NFC South right now?
They may just be. Well, the Panthers are 7-6 right now.
They're tied. The Bucks and Panthers are tied for first in the NFC South, and the Falcons and Saints have been eliminated. So the division comes down to those two, and the other team, whoever doesn't win the NFC South, could end up the wild card.
So kind of with that, I take that to mean, whichever one, the Panthers or the Bucks, wins this week, then we're just fans of them to keep going. Because if they just kind of mismatch, then that could put the Vikings as even further odd men out.
Yeah, well, I think it was last year, nobody wanted to win the NFC South. It was the Falcons, the Saints, and the Bucks, and they were all up there. The Panthers were way out of it at this point last year. But I think I said on the show at some point around this time last year, who's going to win it? Does anybody want to win the NFC South? Because we were, the Vikings were sitting in second place at 14-3 behind the 15-2 Lions. And I think I might have said, we'll win the NFC South. Give it to us. I don't care if we're from the North. Give it to us. We'll win it. We have a better record.
And that's, if you remember, the Vikings having the second best record in the NFC was kind of the catalyst of a potential rule change where they said, it shouldn't just be seeding, or it shouldn't just be division standings for the playoff seeds, which that ultimately still hasn't gone anywhere. And I'm not advocating for that. I think if you win your division, whether you win it with 7 wins or, 15. If you win your division, that should be enough to earn you a home playoff game.
And the way the schedules are structured, where you play a home and away game with every team in your division, you have 6 divisional games every year.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to put that much emphasis on divisional play,
Emphasis. If you're gonna prioritize that, then yeah, it should matter at the end of the season. Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, it's like, well, why try in these divisional games?
Exactly. But yeah, all that to say, that's a lot of things that need to happen for the Vikings to have hope for, and that probably gives the Vikings the 7th seed, that last playoff spot. Yeah, I mean, hey, if that happens, my goodness, I'll be super pumped. I'm not one of these, even if, they lose this next game or one thing happens this week to make them eliminated from the playoffs, I'm still rooting for a Vikings win. I mean, I think the only time we talked about this, we actually got to watch the game together, most of it.
We did.
But we talked about this when we were watching the Commanders-Vikings game. Like, how, me personally, I get the idea of like, no, lose out, get the better draft pick. I can see that logic.
Tank for Tua.
Yeah, exactly. I can understand how a fan would be thinking that. But I also am a fan, and I want to see this team win. And nothing's worse than watching the Vikings lose. Ask my wife how my mood is on a Sunday after the Vikings lose. Like, it's not fun. Even if I know, like, well, this probably puts them, maybe they would have had the 12th pick and now they're probably pretty solid on the 10th pick. Like, no, that's loser mentality. Go later. But yeah, I'm still, no matter what, every week for the rest of the season going to be rooting for a win. The only caveat is if it's like the last game of the season and it's a difference of like the 9th overall pick or the 1st overall pick, then I might be like, all right, give us the first pick. Yeah. If it's one game, it's already totally done. But like, there's a lot of things to watch for this season, and we can probably touch on that a little bit. But yeah, I think it's fun that the playoffs are still a mathematical thing that could happen, even though it's a house of cards. Like, it's gonna fall apart here for one pass could ruin the rest of the Vikings season. And it sucks that it's not just a JJ McCarthy pass. It's a Shador pass. It's a Caleb Williams pass. It's a McCarthy. It's every team like has.
If anybody's gonna ruin it for the Vikings, it's probably gonna be JJ McCarthy.
Well, I think you could argue he already has. Yeah. But anyways,
let me take us slightly off script for a minute and out of the NFL for a minute, because obviously the Vikings still have a lot to play for. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't make the playoffs, it's JJ's development. It's, maybe you do try to strategically not win games to get a draft pick, whatever that is, right? Or maybe you try to weasel your way in the playoffs and see what you can do and build a ton of confidence in this young kid, by losing in the wild card round or something like that. I don't know. But college football, I think we're starting to see a pretty drastic change. And I think the list is now at like 10 teams or something like that have opted out of playing in a bowl game.
Yeah.
And quite a few of them have to do with coaching changes. Like, well, hey, our coach is leaving. Like, Iowa State is close to home for us. And Matt Campbell just left this week to take the Penn State job. And so Iowa State backed out of the bowl game that they were going to get to play in. What do you make of that? And do you think more and more teams will opt out of bowl games if they don't make the playoffs?
So I have a quick thought on it. I'm obviously, a very casual. I'm an Iowa Hawkeye fan, so I'm more than just aware of the Iowa Hawkeyes. I'm definitely a fan of them. But as far as college football as a whole, I'm pretty casual. Even if the Hawkeyes get beat 50-0, like, I'm gonna for 5 minutes be like, man, that really sucks. But like, unless they lose the national championship, I'm not gonna be super disappointed about a loss. You know what I mean? But my mentality, and it kind of goes back to this whole wanting the Vikings just to win every game, even if it hurts their draft stock, is like, if the Hawkeyes were invited to a bowl, and they were one of these that opted out for I could see opting out for a head coaching change. Like, and we don't really want to go about that. There's a lot of things, but even then, that's kind of wishy-washy. Because look at Ole Miss. Did they make the playoffs? And no, they didn't make the playoffs.
I don't think they made the playoffs, but they're definitely going to a bowl game.
Yeah, so
and Lane Kiffin is long gone.
Mm-hmm. But I think if the media is to be believed, if he's to be believed, it seems like he was telling Ole Miss, like, yeah, hey, I'm going to LSU. Opportunity, it's great. Thank you so much, but I really want to finish out the season. And Ole Miss was like, no, you're going to not just another school, another SEC school,
a rival school.
All that to say, my thought is, hey, if you get the honor of being invited to a bowl game, and yes, I know a lot of these are kind of joke games. The Pop-Tart Bowl is like a meme game, but if you get the honor of going to a bowl game, like, you should accept that. Now, again, I admit I'm not super knowledgeable on the ins and outs of the business side of college football and how all that works. Ben Lieber, he tweeted 11 hours ago, and he said, I applaud Notre Dame, ISU, KSU, which is
K-State.
K-State, yeah. Kansas State. Or no, is that Kentucky?
No, it's Kansas State. Their coach retired.
Okay. Yeah, I applaud Notre Dame, ISU, KSU, and Baylor for opting out of bowl season. We're in a broken system with a shoddy governing body and virtually no rules. They don't owe the NCAA or the public anything playing in these games. Until things change, they should do what's best for them. It's not quote-unquote quitting. It's good business. So if there's, a good business reason or a, moral reason or, just we are who we are reason to opt out of these games, okay. I would think, for Notre Dame, I heard that they were offered the Pop-Tart Bowl to play against, I don't even know, BYU or somebody like that, and they said no thanks. You would think that'd be a good revenue generator for your school, especially Notre Dame, they don't have to share it with any other team. Like they're not in a conference. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of all that, but I would think it would just make sense to go play in the game. And then for these players, what if you're not the running back who could be a Heisman winner and a top 5 pick? Like, what if you're just somebody who's been on Notre Dame for a while and maybe you get a little bit of playing time, but this is going to be your last game? Wouldn't you kind of be disappointed? Like, well, shoot, I know it's meaningless, but I want to go play one more time. Like, I don't know. It seems like you should go play, but if it makes sense for them, it makes sense for them. What about you? What do you think?
I'm not a big college football fan either, but I watch college football casually every weekend, and I like bowl season a lot just because I'm home as a teacher.
Yeah, it's fun to watch games.
You have something on in the background, and we laugh like, oh, the Gasparilla Bowl or whatever that is, and the like Tax Slayer Bowl, and all these goofy names. But like, when else are you gonna watch a college football game at 2 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon in the middle of December? You're not. You're gonna, you're gonna go do something else. But I like the college bowl season. I like the bowl system.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. I don't think the 12-team playoff is perfect.
No, but I like
every
the direction they're going.
Yeah, they might be headed in the right direction, but every year there's always controversy. I mean, this year everybody's whining and complaining about Notre Dame not getting in.
Yeah.
Well, woe is us, Notre Dame, blah, blah, blah. Play a better schedule, and then maybe you'll get in, you know? And that's definitely in their realm of control. But I don't like opting out of bowl games.
I agree.
I don't like it for a couple of reasons. One, especially now with the NIL system in place, like that's revenue that you're losing out for your program, and that's less money that you can pay your kids. Like if we're going to pay these college kids to play football, then pay them. And you need to play games to pay them.
Now, I will say, not to one-up you, and I admit I'm not sure if this is true, but I think any revenue schools would get from playing in a bowl game
goes to the university.
Well, it goes to the university, but technically the NIL dollars
have to come from boosters.
They don't directly come from the university. I think there's still some figuring out there. And again, I might be wrong. One commenter could be like, hey, you're actually an idiot, Austin. It goes directly to the university who can pay the players directly. I don't know. I don't think that's the case, but not to totally shut down your point there.
Yeah, and it's a fair point to make, and I don't understand the ins and outs of it either, but I would say, I'm sure if, let's say Iowa goes and plays in their bowl game and they make $5 million.
Whatever it is.
Whatever the going rate is to play in a bowl game, they make it. That $5 million, will probably get invested back into the football program in some way, not necessarily in money to the players, but the facilities, equipment, coaching staff, whatever, to improve the program. And then number two, there's probably a way that some of that $5 million finds its way into the pockets of the booster club, which then ultimately pays the kids. So I think it's doable. I think it's possible for the revenue from a game like that to come back to the players. And that just comes back to the point of you're robbing these kids not only the opportunity to play football, but opportunities to play in a good program, possibly make some more money. And then the other thing that I think about, and it comes back to kind of my original take on this, is it sucks for the fans. Like, a lot of these schools have really dedicated fan bases that travel really well. Iowa travels really well wherever they go. And that's the experience, right? Like, there's some dad that wants to take his 12-year-old son to the bowl game that his college, his alma mater, is playing in. And they opt out, and now there's that opportunity gone.
Shoot, you mentioned Iowa travels really well. It seems like no matter what, and Ferentz, as much as I'm ready for Kirk Ferentz to retire and move on, he always gets 7-8 wins at minimum, which is statistically pretty good.
He's been consistently good.
So they always get a bowl, and it always ends up being, whether it's a high-profile bowl, which they've had a few times in Kirk Ferentz's career, or not the craziest bowl, it always ends up being in Florida, like Orlando, or like the Alamo Bowl. And Iowa fans travel well. I would bet that there are a lot of Iowa fans, people that live in our community right now, that just have like one of their yearly vacations is just like
Iowa Bowl game.
We're going to the Iowa Bowl game because it's always in Orlando or somewhere warm. They just plan for it, and there's probably families that legit budget, because even though they don't know until a few weeks before the game where it is, they just know, like, all right, it's today. They're going to announce where the bowl game is, so I'm going to, check it, and then once they announce, I'm going to hop on and get flights and get the tickets, and it's an automatic thing. And like you said, if your team's not playing in it, that's every team. Every team has those fans that are just like, I'm automatically going. And if you're not playing, then there goes your chance to see your team play in a bowl game. You mentioned payouts for these bowl games, and I know we are a Vikings podcast, listener, I promise. But this is interesting to me. I looked up just payouts for these bowl games, and I looked up Iowa is in the ReliaQuest Bowl. And I found an article. This one's from fanbuzz.com from 2023. So all of this is going to be skewed and not totally accurate. But apparently, in 2023, the payout for teams playing in the ReliaQuest Bowl was $6.4 million. Now,
per team?
So I kind of looked at the article just because all it says is 6.4. Earlier on in the article, it does mention that is the total payout, and it's split between both conferences that each team. So, like in 2023, the ReliaQuest Bowl was Wisconsin versus LSU. So it seems like the Big Ten got $3.2 million, and the SEC got $3.2 million, and then it was divided out amongst each conference's teams. I would imagine Wisconsin probably got a little bigger piece of a pie of their $3.2 million than any other Big Ten team, but it sounds like the conference's team gets half the pot and then splits it amongst the rest of the conference. Mm-hmm. But either way, you think that's a few $100,000 per team. And if every team gets a bowl game in your conference, like there's a big moneymaker for each team.
And it makes sense why the Big 12 has made such a big stink about Kansas State and Iowa State not playing in their bowl games. And I think it sounds like they're going to fine those teams for not playing in the bowl games because that's revenue that the conference is now losing out on. I guess I didn't even know about like revenue sharing with the conference, but it makes sense. And it makes sense that the Big 12 would be so opposed to that. Like, no, you're going to play in that game or you're going to owe us money.
It's especially kind of crazy because I think earlier on, right before the season started, I read something where Iowa State was in not the greatest financial health.
I think they've had some financial problems,
who knows,
athletic department wise.
Penn State may have paid them out pretty decently, depending on what Matt Campbell's payout was.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd think conferences would be advocating like, hey, we advocate for U.S. teams. You need to advocate for yourselves and the conference to go to these bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
But we digress. We have totally derailed this Vikings podcast to talk about a relevant football talker.
Yeah, I think it was a good one, and one that I knew it wasn't on our list of things to talk about, but I wanted to ask you about it because I felt like it was a relevant topic at the time. And I truly think we are seeing the very early stages of a new college football product than we're used to seeing, and I wonder if the bowl system is going to go away entirely.
It'll be interesting.
We're just gonna go to these playoff games, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you expand playoffs enough, then yeah, there's not going to be a lot of rooms as long as there's enough space for all the sponsors that want to sponsor a game. You can
still keep all the sponsors. I'm sure Bad Boy Mowers can sponsor something, and I'm sure Gasparilla, whatever, and ReliaQuest, and fill in the blank, whatever.
Who knows? 30 years from now, we'll have the Skol Hop bowl game.
We'll be on like episode 2,500.
There. I mean, honestly, though, there might eventually be like a Barstool bowl game. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. But we should probably move on before we talk about kind of quick hits on what we think the rest of the Viking season will look like, and then focus on the Sunday night football game against Dallas. We just opened new beers here.
Yep.
We just basically switched. You should put your other can up. You popped open that Pilsner, the pack exclusive. What's it called again?
It is the Clockwork Pils. Czech Pilsner.
Yep. And then I opened up the GG Dunkel. And so Evan, you've taken a sip. What do you think of that Pilsner?
It's good. It's light. It's refreshing, crisp. It's just solid beer. I like it.
I mean, yeah, and everything you said, I agree with in the best way possible. It's just those beers are hard to get right because there's nothing to hide behind in like hoppiness or different crazy other flavors. You just have to get it right, otherwise you're immediately going to know. And Exile obviously does it right. I'd say the same thing about this GG Dunkel. It's a darker flavored beer, but still 5%. It's kind of the best of both worlds. You could have a handful of these and not wake up with a headache, but you're still getting a really full flavored darkish beer, and everything you said about it earlier I totally agree with. And Exile, my goodness, this is a really good variety pack. I'm one that on a weekend I'll get a variety pack just because I don't want the same beer over and over again on Friday and Saturday night, but I haven't had this one yet. I'll be getting this one here in the future. Skol.
I think we may have just set a record for the number of times we've scolded in an episode.
No. Skol.
Now we did.
Depends on what you count as a skull, because if you go back to that Raiders-Vikings game, after
Skol,
Ivan Pace made that...
I may have just blacked out there a little bit.
That's a video that if you dig through our YouTube videos enough, you'll find a 1 to 3 minute long video of both of us reacting to Ivan Pace getting a game-sealing interception against the Raiders in 2023.
Didn't we put that on our TikTok?
We might have, yeah. We probably did. But I kind of freaked out a little bit, and I just said Skol about 25 times, Like, it was fun. One of the good Skol Hot memories that we have. Evan, as we look to the last 4 games of the Vikings 2025 season, what, other than, the long shot of making the playoffs, which we already touched on, what are you most wanting to see from this team by the end of that Packers game?
By the end of the Packers game, I want to see at least 2 more wins.
Okay.
I think 2 of 4 is realistic. I think, honestly, the next 2 are the most realistic. Of course, the Lions and the Packers are going to be making a big playoff push here. The Lions are, clinging. They are on life support right now, clinging to hope of playoffs because the Bears and the Packers are so good. It's not that the Lions are bad. It's just that these other 2 teams are better, and they're in 3rd place in the division right now. And I think, what are they seeded? Are they even in the playoff picture right now?
As of right now, they would miss the playoffs.
Or they might be 8. They might be the first team out. So, anyways, you got to think that Dan Campbell is going to be, preaching, bite some kneecaps, and getting emotional with his guys in the locker room, maybe shedding a few tears.
You're exactly right. As of right now, Monday, December 8th, 9:30 in the evening, they hold the 8th seed, which would put them on the outside looking in. Packers hold the number 2 seed, and the Bears hold the final wild card number 7 seed. So that's how things look as of right now. Obviously, it'll change, but yeah, the Lions are fighting for their lives right now.
I think the 2 road games are winnable road games for the Vikings. They go to Dallas Sunday Night Football. It's indoors, and it's Dallas. I mean,
that's Dallas.
Stephen A. Smith. If the Vikings can beat the Cowboys, I might try to do a really good Stephen A. Smith impression. I might.
I need a yes or a no. I can't be on the edge of my seat because you've done it before, and it's
not good.
Something.
It's not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. No, earlier when I said that's Dallas, I was making a The Office reference. Oh, and I forgot that I've
only watched the first 2 seasons of The Office, and
I thought you hadn't seen any of it.
Yeah, no, I've watched some of it. I like The Office. Don't get me wrong. Just haven't seen it all the way through.
How do you stop after the 2nd season?
I started watching it back when Netflix wasn't even really a thing, and you had the DVDs, and I didn't have DVDs beyond season 2. And
it's out there, man.
That's it.
You gotta watch it. You have to.
I'll still watch random episodes from time to time, but we digress.
We keep doing that today.
I think Dallas is a winnable game. I think New York is a winnable game. Obviously, there are a lot of problems with the Giants, but that game will be interesting because it's going to be cold.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be out. It'll be out at MetLife Stadium in December. It's going to be cold.
Yeah,
and it'll be interesting to see how J.J. McCarthy plays in the cold in December because he might have played 1 cold weather game.
I mean, he played in Michigan.
But 1 game a year. Their regular season is wrapped up, and it's early December.
True. We could probably ask a friend of the show, Forrest, who's a die-hard Michigan fan. He's got an M tattoo. I'm sure he has been to the Big House in cold weather. I think he's told me about that before. Forrest, let us know. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those. I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings make a point to practice outdoors ahead of that Giants game. And really, they already played in Lambeau. That Packer game to end the season, that's at US Bank Stadium, right? Yep. So that is a sneaky thing. I don't think the Vikings have had any cold weather games this year. We could probably go back. I know in previous years that's something that we've talked about when the schedule has come out. God, good grief. When the schedule has
another one
been released, we talked like, oh yeah, no cold weather games. This year it's a foregone. We don't even think about that because the season's done anyways. So Evan, I guess I missed it. What's your one key? What do you want to see? I think you said it, but I can't remember.
I think I want to see 2 wins. I don't want to see any more than that because I think that would preserve some draft position. I also think this is maybe a little sinister, maybe a little twisted, but I think it would create some really good drama in the rest of the division if the Vikings were just out. Like, okay, like we're just going to watch you all fight to the death with each other. Bears, Packers, Lions. Okay. And we're not in it anyways, so we're just going to sit back and laugh. And then when the Packers show up week 18 and they're all banged and bruised and hurt because they've been fighting tooth and nail to, get that number 1 seed or get the divisional crown or whatever from the Bears, we'll take advantage of that.
Sure.
I don't know. So a little sinister, little sneaky, but 2 wins. I think that's reasonable. And you said, what do I want to see? That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see a few more wins. I want to see JJ look comfortable in a few games.
Okay.
I want to see signs of progress that Kevin O'Connell and JJ can coexist together and they can make it work. And then let's get a nice draft pick. Let's draft a kid, probably a cornerback or
corner is definitely
somebody that's going to come in and make a difference right away.
Even running back, you can make a case for.
Yeah,
but that's all talkers for a month from now, when the Vikings regular season is officially done and we can start looking at the draft.
Yep.
Anything else?
No. I want to know what you think.
So I genuinely think any combination of 0 to 4 wins definitely could happen, especially after what we saw. And I know this, we're going to say this yet again tonight. It was just against the Commanders, but especially after what we saw against the Commanders, where it seemed like Kevin O'Connell was finally like, fine, I don't care about footwork. JJ, just go make a good decision. And the defense played well, and tackling didn't seem like the reason the Vikings lost. I think the Vikings realistically could win 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0 of these games. The probability is probably similar of any of those outcomes. Just because all of these teams, we could say up or down. The Cowboys, Giants, Lions, and Packers, they're all decent teams, especially for the Giants if Jackson Dart's playing well, if Dak's playing well for the Cowboys. And then the Lions and Packers, we know who they are. They're just good teams, and whether it's meaningless or not, division games are never easy. So, I mean, what I want to see 4 wins. Let's just, if I get to choose any of it, let's just win out. I don't care what else happens. They're going to miss the playoffs. We had a whole, segment earlier. We talked about, how they could make the playoffs, and that'd be awesome. I'd be jumping for joy, but realistically, they're going to miss the playoffs. But I want to see 4 wins, and you said you want to see some development from J.J. McCarthy. Yes, I would want that too, but maybe more importantly for me, I want to see definitively what JJ is. I don't want, 2 up games and 2 down games from him where it's like, well, maybe they don't. I want them to finish the season knowing, okay, we've seen everything we need to see. We'll try to fix his footwork, but we know JJ can play football. It might be ugly, but we know he can play football and we can work with it. Or, it would be just as valuable to say, like, oh, we've done everything we can, and JJ's just not savable. And if that's the case, then they can go into the draft thinking, we're not going to rule out the quarterback position. And if they get the 9th overall pick and somehow the best quarterback in the draft falls to them, they can be like, all right, fine, we can't turn this down. We're the Falcons of 2024. We can't, not pick this guy because he's too good. So I want 4 wins, and I want a definitive plan ahead, good or bad, with the quarterback position. We need to keep JJ and keep going down that road, or we need to move on for sure. Those are my 2 things. And then I just want, to be entertained. Good football. Nobody get TJ Hawkinson, Zach Ertz injury where they're out for the whole next year, because that would be devastating. Can you imagine if, Justin Jefferson pops his Achilles against the Packers in a blowout game? Oh, man, that'd be terrible.
It would be deflating.
Yep. So that's my wish list, 4 wins and a definitive plan forward at the quarterback position.
Well, let's zero in on the Dallas game quick. Dallas opens as 6-point favorites at home. Over under is set at 48.5, so potentially kind of high scoring game.
Yeah, that's like a 28 to 21 game within a touchdown, especially if Dallas is favored by less than a touchdown but close to.
So keys to victory, what do you think?
I mean, just continuing to see. I think while we saw some J.J. McCarthy development against the Commanders, it wasn't 100% perfect, but there were some things there. He made some throws and seemed like he was playing a little bit looser and a little bit more patient. Ran when he had to, threw the good ball when he had to. But I think a part of that is we saw some Kevin O'Connell development. We saw him learn how to not just call a good game for a good quarterback. We saw him learn how to call a good game for his quarterback. And not just like, okay, you need to make sure you have your back foot set, or you need to make sure you go 1, 2, 3, and if one's not there, go to 2. I feel like we saw some development and positive development from Kevin O'Connell. So for me, the keys to victory is Kevin O'Connell continuing to learn how to call a good game with a good defense the way he needs to with the quarterback he has right now in J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that. I think you got to keep things simple for JJ, and I think it was maybe even a little bit of like a running joke this last week for the Vikings team, for the reporters, anybody covering the Vikings, like Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, a few other players were noted as saying like, yeah, we've dumbed it down. We've watered it down.
Yep.
And I think for some of those seasoned veterans, it's like, I think they were probably thinking to themselves, like, why did we have to dumb it down so much? But you saw it work, right? Mm-hmm. To the tune of 31-0. Like, pitching a shutout in the NFL is a really hard thing to do. Teams don't do it every week, and there's a reason why it's been basically our entire lives where a team has been shut out and then pitched a shutout the following week. Mm-hmm. Like, it just doesn't happen. So I think you got to keep things simple for JJ, and I think the key to unlocking that is the run game. You saw it work with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I think this was the Vikings' best running game against the Commanders all season long, and it was almost balanced. I think, didn't we say that the yardage totals were basically the same between running and passing?
Yeah, it was like a difference of like 10. I think there were 10 more passing yards than there were rushing yards between, as a team total.
Which shows like basically a perfect balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play calls. And like the Vikings had that like huge 19-play drive that started on the Commanders' 2-yard line. And even that drive was just really well balanced. And there were some setbacks on that drive. I think there was a couple of sacks on that drive. I think there were a few tackles for loss. But regardless of what happened, Kevin O'Connell did not just abandon the run and try to, chuck the ball on third and whatever. They stayed on schedule. They stayed ahead of the sticks. And they got a touchdown out of the deal.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And to your point, Kevin O'Connell called a game for his quarterback, not just a quarterback, not just this random kid that they took 10th overall in the draft.
Yeah, it wasn't like, just hey, play well in my playbook. Yes. It was finally, hey, all right, it's my playbook, but I'm going to make it to play well for you. Yeah. And
I saw something too today that said, I think it was a tweet that said something like, Kevin O'Connell loves his deep down the field bombs, which is great, and we've seen a lot of success with that, especially with a huge big name receiver like Justin Jefferson. But the league doesn't necessarily trend that way.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Alec Lewis that's
you might be right.
That, yeah.
And so, not saying that you have to do everything the way that the league does, but if teams are winning games with more of the short yardage, dink and dunk, crossing routes, check down type system, you can't just completely throw the baby out with the bathwater and try to do your own thing. Like, if this is how other teams are beating high quality defenses, then beat them. Join them, you know.
And some of it's how like rosters are built and designed now too, because you're seeing defensive ends now who are, 6'5", 250 pounds, and they can run like a 4.5 40, whereas 20 years ago a defensive end was still kind of like a slightly slimmer defensive tackle, and they weren't as fast or as slim, and they are that way because they started scouting and hiring these defensive ends to beat the big, fat, slow offensive tackles who are just big, giants. And now we're also seeing offensive tackles like Brian O'Neill who are slimmer and faster and stronger now too, just to say like the game changes in one way and you have to change with it. So I think that's definitely accurate to say KOC needs to, and every good coach needs to be able to adapt and change, because Lombardi would not be, if he brought his playbook and coaching style to today, it'd get blown out. The 72 Dolphins wouldn't gain 10 yards in a game right now just because, you can't just pick up, one team and go to a different era and play the same way. Couple things for me. I think your point about dumbing down the playbook, it's very true, but at the end of the day, if you gave the best NFL team the playbook that the worst high school team uses, right? Like just the most simple, I formation, run it up the middle every play. And they were the best of the best players, the best, fastest, biggest, strongest, everything. They would still find success with a playbook like that. It's not just about having the best playbook and the most methodical, mysterious schemes that we see on the Vikings defense where they look like they're going to blitz, anywhere up to 11 players and then they out of nowhere drop back. Sometimes if you're just the biggest, fastest, strongest, what do we see with Adrian Peterson all the time? Teams would run blitz every play against him, and he would still get 100, 200 yards a game.
And he was just
the biggest, fastest, strongest.
With him. Yeah, you got a solid point there.
So, I mean, if it's JJ and his version of biggest, fastest, strongest is just give him a simple playbook. If he's that good in being able to do the simple things, then let him do those simple things and win games and cash those checks. Another thing is, it's just kind of an anecdote here. CJ Ham had 24 offensive snaps against the Commanders. Apparently that's the most offensive snaps he's had since 2021.
Oh, wow.
And lo and behold, the Vikings, shut out another NFL team, and he picked up a couple of blitzes and he's a really good blocker. So maybe we should see more Ham. I don't know.
He's also the man of the year.
Yeah.
Vikings man of the year.
And it's not the first time he's been the Vikings nominee for the man of the year award, too. I don't know how many times he has, but I know it's been multiple times, so good for him.
Yeah.
A guy that famously you thought could be a sneaky good cut. If you go back to the Skol Hop episode 1, I think that was a topic we talked about, about guys that could be cut before the season.
I was misinformed. It's okay.
And here he is, just 3 years later, still on the team with the most snaps he's had since we've ever been recording this podcast.
No, I'm happy for him. And it's hard to imagine a Vikings team without CJ Ham.
There was another player that I thought it'd be hard to imagine this team without, and then he quit on the team. And I've tried to allude to that a couple of times, and you haven't taken the bait tonight. But
I've learned enough to know that.
Let's just say I'm a big fan of Harrison Smith.
Yes.
And CJ Ham and other longtime Vikings that haven't quit on the team.
How about we make some game predictions?
Yeah.
Some score predictions.
For Vikings-Cowboys.
Vikings-Cowboys, Sunday Night Football.
I'll go first.
All right.
I think we said the over-under for this game, at least as of right now, is 48.5 points. The Cowboys are favored by 6. Which is weird. Usually you see like 5.5 or 6.5, Usually you don't see a nice round number for a team to be favored by, but at least as far as ESPN's concerned, when it opened, it'll probably change. But yeah, at least as of right now, the Cowboys are favored by an even 6. I don't quite believe, I'm not fully on board with everything Vikings wise, even after putting a beat down on a rough team, which the Commanders, they're a bad team this year, but they'll be all right here in the future. I think the Vikings lose this week. Sunday Night Football, the lights are pretty bright. I think it'll be kind of close. I think the Cowboys win 28-24.
Well, I think 9 might be done, but Nueve, he's here. And 31-0 Vikings.
Wow.
Calling it right now.
Holy cow. Okay. All right, Ev. I'm with you. I'd be just as excited as you are if that happens. I'm not going to predict it. I almost want to, change up our purple punishments rules, but we won't ever do that. But yeah, I'm with you. I want that to happen. I don't think it'll happen.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be so much fun.
That'd be great.
I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen either. But
that's what you're predicting.
It's a podcast. I can say whatever I want.
All right. Well, I'm with you. I hope that happens. So you're predicting the exact same score as what the Vikings beat the Commanders.
Precisely.
All right. Let's go. Skol.
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 I just blacked out. All right. We need to wrap this up because I'm fading. I'm tired.
Yeah, we got to work tomorrow.
Got to go to work tomorrow. Where can people find us?
We are everywhere on social media. First and foremost, I'd point people to our YouTube page. Just YouTube the Skol Hop. You'll find us there. We are on Twitter. That might be the most available we are to be interacted with immediately. Obviously, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. If you like injury videos, go check out our TikTok. You'll find a lot of, we could debate on the quality of the videos, but a lot of injury videos on TikTok. And if you want to directly communicate with us, we are our email address is theskolhop@gmail.com. And we do have a website that someday may be updated, but it's out there. It's live, and you can go to our website and find probably the first 60 episodes and beer reviews and all that stuff. And if you dig really deep, you can probably find our personal Twitter accounts that, that's just going to be an Easter egg. You can find those not too difficultly. But yeah, Evan, did I miss anything there?
Other than I think you just invented a new word, difficultly.
Yeah, somebody else has said it before. I bet somebody else has said it before. But either way, I said it now.
No, you didn't miss anything. Go check us out anywhere. Find us on YouTube.
Yeah. And Spotify, you can watch us too. But YouTube is where you're going to find most of it.
Yeah. Really good beer. We got to try 3 different beers tonight. Mine's pretty much all gone.
Yep.
A few suds in the bottom that I'm going to save for the last sip. But great beer. Might say great episode yet.
Yeah. Skol.
Skol.